Hey guys, come on in, come on in. I'm glad you're here with me today. We're going to be talking about the Sebastian Rogers case, and I have an update for you on the Riley Strain case regarding the frat brothers. Wow. Really, really interesting. Maybe we should start with Riley. I know a lot of you guys loved Riley and loved his family and took him into your heart, but we are going to be talking about Sebastian Rogers. I will just do the Riley Strain update really quickly while people are coming in. Um, if you haven't subscribed to, please do. Today we're going to be talking about the timeline. We're going to be talking about the phone calls between Chris and Katie Proudfoot. We're going to talk about Chris's alibi and Seth's thoughts on what he thinks happened and who he thinks is responsible. My name is Jessica Della Davies. I'm an investigative journalist, and my job is to investigate crimes, crime scenes, and potential suspects and share with you how to do the same thing. If you haven't subscribed to Reporter Room, please do. It's free and it helps me out a lot. Like, share, and leave a comment. And let's start while people are coming in. Let me go ahead and start with Riley's update on Riley. A lot of you guys loved and cared about Riley. We looked for him. And so they have his family. A lot of people felt like the fraternity brothers were shady, that they didn't help search for Riley. They went to a party instead. Um, Now, they have not filed a lawsuit against the individual fraternity brothers by name, but listen to this. Riley Strain's family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the Delta Chi fraternity organization and its members. Authorities ruled Riley's COD, watching my words here, an accidental drowning and ethanol intoxication while visiting Nashville on a formal trip with his fraternity. So they filed this on March 21st in Boone County. So according to the lawsuit, Riley's family claims that the fraternity, quote, had a duty of care to Riley as a member of Delta Chi fraternity and as a brother in the organization, and over which Delta Chi asserted control. And I did think I really don't think this would have come down to a lawsuit if two things would have happened. One, if they had called his family and spoken to his parents to tell them what happened that night, because now I feel like they have to file this lawsuit to get them to talk because they all lawyered up, allegedly, reportedly. And two, if they had helped search, they went to a party. They were in their formals. They went to a party and didn't help search for their missing friend. They didn't help search for Riley. So, I don't understand this, and I get why his parents are suing them. The suit further states that Delta Chi breached that duty of care and was negligent, careless, and or reckless in one or more of the following ways. The filing goes on to accuse the fraternity of multiple neglect acts, including failing to have adequate safety measures in place for this formal, allowing excessive drinking on the charter buses that transported the fraternity to Nashville, and the absence of chaperones or advisors, among other accusations. It lists out 32 fraternity members, including presidents, officers, leadership, and brothers. And I think those brothers that went to that party and didn't help search and refused to speak to Riley's mom, I think this is the only way Riley's family probably feels like they can get answers. They feel like there's, somebody's hiding something. So we're going to talk about the lawsuit and what the family is claiming. The lawsuit accuses the fraternity of peer pressuring Riley to attend the Nashville formal by claiming Riley was first approached by attending the yearly formal in Nashville. Riley, as often was an often reserved young man, did not tend to go with typical fraternity flow, said that he did not plan to attend that formal. His fraternity brothers continued to pressure Riley about the formal, and after their continued cajoling, Riley agreed to attend the Nashville formal. So here's what they are claiming in the chain of events. They're saying that and I am going to talk about Sebastian. I just know that you guys love Riley too. And I did want to keep you guys in the know about any new updates with him. On March 8th of 2024, Riley and his fraternity brothers and dates, so those are the dates, boarded 4 separate charter buses to Nashville. Riley boarded the bus without a date. Both beer and Jello alcohol shots were said to have been on these charter buses. Several drinks were allegedly offered to Riley by Delta Chi members. According to the filing, Delta Chi policies and procedures state that, quote, any alcohol product containing more than 15% alcohol by ABV is prohibited on any chapter facility or chapter event except when served by a licensed and insured third-party vendor. Once the bus arrived in Nashville, the lawsuit states that within hours, several fraternity members claimed to have noticed that Riley was acting unusual. He began to have difficulty speaking, walking, and interacting with those around him. And we saw him stumbling down the street. And we all wondered at the time why none of the fraternity brothers walked with him back to the hotel. I mean, you're supposed to be brothers, right? Anyway, let's continue on. Once the bus arrived in Nashville, the lawsuit states that within hours, several fraternity brothers claimed they claimed that they did notice that Riley was acting unusual. So we just talked about that. By the time the group reached the final bar of the night, that would be Luke's bar, Riley was virtually incoherent. He was said to have been leaning against the walls to stay upright, stumbling up and down steps, and was completely unable to speak or communicate. When the bar kicked Riley out, the filing claimed that Riley's fraternity brothers did not go with Riley to make sure he was safe or take care of him. Riley began stumbling and falling when walking on flat surfaces. We saw the videos of him stumbling around, you guys. At 9:53 on March 8th, Riley disappeared. Number 7, by 1 a.m., most of the group had returned to the hotel, and the lawsuit states there was no search, no panic, and no one called 911 to report that Riley had failed to make the 12-minute walk back to the hotel in over 3 hours. The fraternity brothers did not even think to call Riley's parents. They simply got ready for bed and went to sleep. Number 8, Riley's parents were contacted around noon the following day on March 9th, and so was Metro Nashville Police. This is when the search for Riley began. On March 22nd, Riley was found face down in the Cumberland River, a 4-minute walk from the bar his fraternity brothers had last seen him in. And Steve Fisher was retained by the Riley Strain family. In a previous interview, Fox 17 News had interviewed with private investigator Steve Fisher, a PI retained by the Strain family. Fisher said he interviewed 6 of the fraternity brothers who attended the trip with Riley, who claimed to have searched for him after discovering he was not found inside the hotel. A different story that's outlined in Friday's filing. The group claims to have searched the waterfront and surrounding areas where Riley's phone last pinged from his Snapchat. P.I. Fisher says the group claims to have gone to the police precinct in the morning and said they waited several hours before they were told to call 911, to which they waited several more hours to speak to a police officer. The lawsuit states that Riley's family is seeking a jury trial, as well as compensation for damages involving Riley's pain and suffering, as well as family medical, funeral, burial, and other financial expenses caused by his passing. I'm watching my words here. So I just wanted to share that update with you on Riley, because I know how much you guys cared about him. I know how much you guys loved him. And I know, we were together when he was found, and, we were on live together as a true crime community. And it was really sad when we found out what had happened to him. So come on in, you guys. Please let me know what you think about this. And let's go ahead and start the Sebastian live stream. And everything I'm sharing with you is my opinion. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Please do not harass anyone or bother anyone. I don't think any of you guys would do that, but I want to just make that really clear. So on Sunday, in the hours leading up to Sebastian's disappearance, we know that Katie Proudfoot went to BJ's Wholesale Club. They went to the Texas Roadhouse and went home. That's really the last time that we've seen Sebastian on video. Now, according to Katie and Chris Proudfoot, he was seen on video taking the trash out, but Seth Rogers has a different account. He says he could not say for sure that that was Sebastian. So according to Chris Proudfoot's sister, she said they went shopping on Sunday and then Katie and Sebastian went home together. So according to her, Katie was the last one to have seen Sebastian prior to his disappearance. So let's consider that 3-hour phone call between Chris and Katie Proudfoot. Did something happen that night? Was there some type of altercation? It's worth considering the fact that, Chris Proudfoot could have easily put his phone on speaker, put it next to the TV and left it behind and driven back if something did go wrong. I'm not saying he did that. I'm just saying it's possible. Now, I don't know. My understanding from listening to the private investigators talking is that his vehicle was supposedly at the campground the whole time. So he would have also had to have taken a different vehicle back. So I don't know that, he said he didn't need a lie detector test. I didn't think that sounded right. I thought law enforcement would want him to have a lie detector test. But I do want to hear what Seth has to say about this because, he knows them better than anybody. He was co-parenting with them.
My son, he's my life. He's my heart. He's not here, and I'm not complete unless I have him. So it's the drive to be whole again.
I applaud you for holding out hope, being so resilient, being positive, and who knows what can happen with this investigation. And any day could be the day Sebastian comes home. From your perspective, Seth, how satisfied are you with the investigation being done by TBI?
And I want to make it clear, this was an early on interview with Seth Rogers. This was 11 months ago. So this was in the, the early stages. And he wasn't happy with the investigation. He was really concerned that there was nepotism, that law enforcement was friends with the Proudfoots, that it was a small town, that everybody kind of knew each other, and that, maybe they weren't going to look as hard for Sebastian, or weren't going to look, ask the hard questions, which is why he was begging to have the FBI come in. Now, I think TBI is, which we're in. I don't think they would do anything like that. I don't even think the Cumberland Sheriff's Office would do anything like that. I think that the sheriff made it clear that he was not friends with Chris Proudfoot. So I do think that they looked at everybody. But, Seth, I understand why he feels a certain kind of way about it. Let's listen, because in the title of this is "His Mom is Responsible for This." Sebastian Rogers' dad talks to Court TV. So that is his quote. His mom is responsible for this. That is what Seth feels.
My son's not here. They have no evidence. They haven't. Sumner County is the one that's doing it. TBI is assisting. I've asked TBI to take it over. They haven't yet. There's just things that I don't think have been done.
So TBI wasn't in there, and he had to beg for TBI to get involved, and then ultimately beg for the FBI to get involved. So I can understand his frustration because he's feeling like there's things that aren't being done.
What would you like to be done, Seth, that hasn't been?
I have a list of stuff, but I don't know if they've done it or not. I mean, there's been questions that have been asked and things that have been answered. It's really hard to have evidence if certain protocols aren't being followed. You have to start back over from day one.
Going back to day one, so Sebastian.
What really strikes me about this interview is just how exhausted he looks here. He just looks absolutely exhausted.
Sebastian goes to sleep the evening of February 25th. It's on the morning of the 26th that your ex-wife finds that he's not in his bedroom. She is the only one said to be home. And Sebastian could have vanished sometime in the hours from when she last saw him go to sleep and from the time she opened the door. There's a window there overnight. Your best guess, Seth, based on how well you know your son, what do you think happened to Sebastian?
He's not the type to put on, he's not the type to leave the house without putting on socks and shoes. As for running away or leaving, he didn't take his backpack. He didn't take his switch. He didn't take his phone. I mean, just
Remember, Seth would have picked up Sebastian for weekends, every other weekend, to come stay at his house. So, Sebastian would have had things with him when he visited his dad. So his dad would have known what he normally would have taken. So it is weird that Sebastian disappears from inside his own house with no shoes, no cell phone, no coat, no phone.
doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
And he's not one to wander. He's never eloped before.
Are you leaning towards a potential kidnapping?
Anything is speculation at this point in time, because there is no, as they have said, evidence that leads towards foul play. But there's things that just don't add up. His mother was the last one to see him. She's responsible for this.
She's responsible for this. And, a lot of you guys feel the same way, that, this comes back onto Katie. All right. Let me check in with chat. I do want to put the social on social media. Come on in, guys. Tell me where you're from. And this is our head mod, Jazz. Thank you for modding today. Hi, Orange Wedge. Hi, Kathleen. Come on in, you guys. Carol's here. Leslie's here. Pen Jam is here. So thank you so much for modding, Jazz. Mother of Cycle Breaker says, wow, made it to the beginning of the live. Yeah, you did. Hi, Veronica. Welcome. Glad you're here. Leslie's here. Thanks for modding today, Leslie. Texas Life Julie's here. Steve is here. Come on in. Tell me where you're from. Brother Mike is our other head mod. He's here as well. Thank you so much for modding today. Brother Mike says Riley was left alone at a time of need. Yeah, they should have, at the very least, Riley Strange should have been walked back to his hotel. It wasn't far. It was walking distance. They could have, at the very least, called him a cab and placed him in a cab and told the cab where to go. That would have been not as good of an option, but better than nothing. But instead, they just watched him go out the door. And Jess says, please give this a thumbs up. Yeah, please let the YouTube algorithm know this is a G-rated show. Jody says, hi, everyone. I'm not very familiar with this case. Oh, well, this is a very interesting case. Very interesting case. For those of you that don't know, hi, Dabs. Dabs, remind me on the next thing. I want to give you a wrench. For those of you that don't know, Sebastian Rogers disappeared from inside his own home. He was reported missing on February 26th. He was last seen on video at the Texas Roadhouse on February 25th. And this is of the year 2024. So it's been over a year. He supposedly, according to the Proudfoots, walked out the door. That's what they said. They said walked out the door, like they knew. He walked out the door. And he didn't take a phone. He didn't take his shoes. His shoes were all there. He didn't take a backpack. He didn't take a coat. It was winter. And even in pictures that we've seen of Sebastian, he was wearing shoes in the pool. That kid was not an outdoor barefoot run around type of kid. This kid liked to have his shoes on. He wasn't an outdoorsy kid. And his dad tells us that he had an incident with fire ants and wouldn't have gone outside without shoes. It was also cold. It was cold in February. Now, some people, like Deception Detective, has had wondered. So speculation warning here. He wondered if maybe Sebastian, ran outside and without his shoes on, and when he tried to get him back in, something like that the parents didn't want to own up to it, but they said don't let him, not that Katie said don't let him back in, and Chris was egging her on. That was one theory. It's just a theory. Nobody's saying that's what happened, but there's a lot of theories about this, of what could have happened. But the one thing that just doesn't make sense is that a 15-year-old who would go to his dad's house every other weekend would go out of the house with no shoes, no coat, no phone, no backpack. And his dad is sounding the alarm, 11 months ago. He's begging for the TBI to help because the stepfather is, reportedly friends with somebody in the Sumner County Sheriff's Office. Now, that doesn't mean the sheriff, because the sheriff has point blank told Lore Lodge that he was not friends with Chris Proudfoot. But, there's concerns. Is law enforcement doing everything they can? And you can understand from Seth's point of view that if you were looking at this, you would be upset too, and you would be fighting to have every law enforcement. What parent wouldn't want TBI and the FBI to come in to help search for their child? Every parent who wants their child found would want these things. So I think what he's asking for is normal, but he just said that he believes that Katie's responsible. Let me back it up. And then, and who benefited from Sebastian being gone? I'm not saying he did anything to Sebastian, but he benefited. That would be Chris Proudfoot, because Chris Proudfoot had multiple CPS reports open on him, including one that was closed just before Sebastian disappeared. We know he had a court date coming up, but with to try to get custody of his daughter, Faith. And so when Sebastian disappeared, so did all the CPS cases. Now, I'm not saying Chris Proudfoot did anything. I'm just saying he benefited from it. But again, I'm not saying he did anything to Sebastian. I just want to make that clear. But let's listen to Seth, because he says, quote, his mother is responsible for this. Listen to him.
His mother was the last one to see him. She's responsible for this, either through negligence at the bare minimum.
And that was what Peter Hyatt said. He said the easiest way to abuse with a child is, and I'm watching my words here in case you have little ones in the room, is to simply neglect them.
Has she been a good mother to Sebastian?
Prison, but she left my son around that person. You don't do that. If you're a parent, you don't do that. You're supposed to protect your kid.
So he's furious. He's, absolutely furious. And it's really normal for when parents have missing kids to feel very suspicious of everybody that's around them. If you really want to know what happened to your missing kid, you're going to feel a lot of suspicion for everybody that's around you. And let's look at these marks that went around the internet that is on the interview with Chris Proudfoot. So this is the interview, just to show you the receipts here, to show you what his shirt, if that's what he's wearing. So that's what this is from. And I did do my own video on this, but if I play my own video, I think I can't play my own video while I'm live. But this is from Evil Exists. And let me move myself out of the way so you guys can see this nice and big. And let me make this bigger. And you guys can see what you see for yourselves, because now Chris Proudfoot is claiming these are scratch marks. A lot of people feel like they're bite marks. Tell me what you think in the comment section below.
There are clear visible marks on it. Are those bite marks? Scratch marks from someone fighting back with him? What are those marks? And they are really concerning. Some people say it is their dog that scratched him, but look closer at it with this filter. Many have been saying, why didn't he cover it up then, if it was Sebastian who made those marks trying to fight back? I think it's because Chris keeps saying he has nothing to hide and wants to give off that persona. He is confident and thinks that he can explain everything away type of thing. Same reason as to why he spoke openly about CPS being called on him in 2 states, as well as his drastic discipline methods used on Sebastian for tiny reasons, like not having a belt on.
Well, we got conflicting stories on that. He boldly lied about the CPS, and he told multiple versions of why he had to use a belt. So that tells me that either there's more than one incident with a belt, or he just, he fabricated it. Neither reason was true. But it does seem like, everything that he was choosing to do are extreme. And you can see why Seth is upset. He's like begging for law enforcement to come in. TBI, FBI, and the FBI is in now, and they're offering a $50,000 reward for the not safe return, but just any information that leads to finding Sebastian. It doesn't have to be safe return. All of that would be the best.
You don't put them in where they can get in any type of harm's way.
Seth, you said something very upsetting, very shocking, and I just want to go back just a moment. You said that your wife allowed your son,
So trigger warning here.
Sebastian, your ex-wife, I should say, your ex-wife allowed Sebastian to be in a situation where he was molested and raped?
In California, and Chris in her apartment, they let a child who was 5 years older than my son play with my son and didn't bother to check on him there neither. And he lost his innocence because of it.
And you guys know that's like devastating for a child to get over. So you could just see how upset Seth is, and how tired he is. He's been out searching. So let's go to this one.
Is anyone still searching for Sebastian? Let me bring in my special guest, someone I know is still searching. Sebastian's father, Seth Rogers, is with us, and also joining us, the Rogers family spokesperson, Tony Mathis.
So this interview with Vinnie Politan for Court TV was done 7 months ago.
Thank you both for being here. Appreciate the opportunity to speak with you and the opportunity to speak about Sebastian. Seth, let me begin with you. Is anyone still searching for your missing son?
I am. I have a private investigator that's still working on it. She conducts her searches in private. She has her own volunteer base. We're not going to stop until we find it.
So that would be PI Heather or PI Chloe.
Let me ask you this, Seth. Outside of what you are doing, is this search still active? Let's talk about law enforcement.
From my understanding, law enforcement is still searching. They're doing it privately as well. There's checking in on tips when they come in. If we get tips, we pass them on to them. Same time we get them.
And how is that part going with tips? Are people still providing information when they come across things? And what are your thoughts about?
We still get information. I mean, we still get emails every day. We have a tip site that is up. A PI put that up. It's a valid tip site for anybody who wants to email or call, wants to be anonymous or whatnot.
And I think that's okay because a lot of people don't like to call law enforcement. Not a lot of people. Some people don't like to. But if you do have a tip that you think could help find Sebastian, 1-800-TBI-FIND, 1-800-TBI-FIND is the number.
Tony, I wanted to bring you in the conversation. This is a difficult situation. And I understand the onslaught of public attention that this has gotten. And sometimes That's a big positive in keeping Sebastian's face in the public and getting people to know who he is and think about him. And if they see something, hopefully say something. But obviously there can be downsides as well. How is all of this publicity, from your perspective, impacting the search for Sebastian?
Well, we don't really believe that any of the media attention, social media attention, any of that is really going to impact what law enforcement's doing one way or another. It does impact the father, that I represent, Seth. We thank all the creators out there that continue to keep Sebastian's name out and do it in a positive way. Our message to most of the media attention, more social media than mainstream, is that we ask that you cover the case in a positive way. If you choose not to do that and back away, that's okay too. But any positive support that we can get for Seth while he's looking for his son is a big deal for us.
And as you know, we have statement analyst Peter Hyatt that has done, deep dive into this. Unfortunately, he has passed away, if you haven't heard. He had stage 4 cancer, so may he rest in peace. The other statement analyst professional is Stephen Johnson. He also went through statements made by Chris and Katie Proudfoot and on the Chris McDonough, the interview room program. Pat Brown, who's a profiler, a criminal profiler, and also does statement analysis, also saw red flags when it came to the Proudfoots. And then Deception Detective has also made some videos focusing on the Proudfoots. So definitely worth checking out if you haven't already. Let me just say hello to Chad. I want to have Sebastian's big, beautiful face. Thank you for showing up for Sebastian today. Thank you for caring about this beautiful, precious little boy who deserves to be found. And I know people are like divided into teams. I don't understand this. To me, it's like there's not one team and another team. I just feel really passionately that we should all be on Sebastian's team. And no matter what you think happened to him, he needs to be found and we need to keep his name out there. Thank you for the green hearts for Sebastian. Hi, Pepper. Thanks for modding today, Leslie and Pepper. Castle is thanking you, Njaz. Hey, Kathleen. Leslie says her heart hurts for Seth. Njaz says hers is too. Brother Mike says he is Team Sebastian. Leslie said law enforcement put out a statement saying they wouldn't tell him what to say. They wouldn't tell who's them. Sorry, Julie, I may have this out of context. Hey, Castle, I know Seth's hurting. Please pray for Seth. Brother Mike says, sad how happy he could be. Kathleen says, justice for Sebastian. Pepper says, I can't imagine the pain he's going through. Now, please give this a thumbs up. Let the YouTube algorithm know we're doing it. A good show. Dynamite says, watching from San Antonio, Texas. 238 watching and only 85 likes. That must have been a little while ago. Hopefully, you guys will help me out with the algorithm. So the FBI has put up a reward. The original reward was $3,000, and it was put up by anonymous business donors for the safe return of Sebastian, which was really nice. And the FBI's put up $50,000, and there supposedly is some other reward money too. Castle says, thank goodness that Seth begged for TBI and FBI. Now they're involved and things are happening. I agree. Emily says, Seth pauses long and then starts speaking again. I guess many hosts have gotten used to giving Seth time to pause and think before he speaks. Early on, it was frustrating because he was interrupted. Oh, wow, I didn't know that. Dynamite said there's no evidence of him walking away. Kathleen thinks he was kidnapped. Castle says, Brother Mike, FBI rarely will come out and tell the public anything, but they are involved and have been since February 27th of 2024 and continue to work the case. Thank goodness, right? I mean, I think we're all like, to everybody who wants to find Sebastian, we all just feel like, you can't have too many people helping out, Brother Mike says things don't add up. Hi, says there's no way Sebastian would have left without his phone. teens his age have their phones glued to them, but yet Katie Proudfoot says he ran off with a tiny broken flashlight. Northern New Jersey, welcome, Emily. Sandra, good day. Aquarians here. Christine, good to see you. Castle says Sebastian was abducted, hence the Amber Alert by his own mother and stepmother. And you guys, when you're writing your stuff, I would put, just to cover yourself, because there are lawsuits flying around, I would put, in my opinion, just to CYA yourself. Hi, Diane. I'm glad you're here. Brother Mike, thank you so much for the $1.99 super sticker. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you so much to NJAS for gifting a reporter room membership. If you got that reporter room membership, please let me know who you are so I can welcome you to the reporter room family. And thank you to NJAS for the 10-pound super sticker. That is really, really nice of you. I am putting all of this toward a new computer. So thanks so much, you guys. That is really nice of you guys. Castle said Chris Watts barrel rush, Katie Proudfoot bulldoze. Yeah, there's been a video going around comparing statements that were made by Chris Watts with statements that were made by Chris and Katie Proudfoot. I did see it. Hi, Indy. Come on in. I'm glad you're here. It is sad, Kathleen. Mother of Cycle Breaker says, question, I did in the beginning, but I haven't really been following the Sebastian Rogers case, but the FBI has been called to help. Yes. So the FBI is helping to search. The TBI is helping to search. That's the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations, and the Sumner County Sheriff's Office are all helping to find Sebastian. And the FBI has put out a $50,000 reward for the safe return of, or not safe return. I keep saying that. Of course, I want him to have a safe return, which is why I'm saying that. So you're seeing verbal slippage, verbal legal leakage on my part for just the return of him. But, you know, I want him found safe. So of course I'm going to, my brain's, you know, going to safe. But it's just any information that leads to Sebastian. Doesn't have to be for the safe return of him. But of course, that's what we all want, right? Hey, Mima. Hi, Eyes. Top Cat's here. Hey, everyone. First live. Congrats on 40K. Thank you, Top Cat. Thank you for modding today. Kathleen said, how do they know he walked out the front door? I don't know, but they did say it. Tropical Life said he had no shoes because he ran out of the house, getting away from someone. That's what I'm wondering too. And, you know, because they said that he walked out the front door. This has been said, you know, in multiple interviews. So if he walked out the front door, wouldn't he have put his shoes on and a coat? I mean, his dad sure thinks it's odd that he doesn't have anything, didn't take his cell phone, no shoes. So to me, that tells me if he went out the door, he wasn't planning to go out the door, and he wasn't planning to be out the door for more than a minute or two because it was cold. It was February. It was chilly. It was in the 40s that night. Sean says Seth adores his son, and it's palpable. Adriana said, let's not say past tense. Isn't, not wasn't. Sean says, UK. Happy Saturday night to you too, Mima. Welcome, Adriana. Leslie says, I don't think Sebastian walked out the house. I think he was carried out. Castle says, Kathleen, yes, it's sad. Amber alerts are usually a parent or family member, not a stranger danger. Hey, Princess Elsa, I'm glad you're here. Thanks for modding today. Aquarian says, I think Katie Proudfoot let him go with those people she spoke to in the parking lot at the Texas Roadhouse, in my opinion. His eyes say, in my opinion, if they say the front door, then it was really out the back door that he was taken. Chris Proudfoot and Katie Proudfoot knew they would be seen if out the front door. Remember, it was probably much darker in the back. And again, this is High Eyes, just his opinion. Mima Sandy says, bring Katie in and Chris separate rooms. That's it. Let's go. No reason they have not. Mother of Cycle Breaker says, so no other law enforcement has been called in to help? It's just local. No. TBI is now on the scene, and so is FBI. But originally, it was just the Sumner County Sheriff's Office. Hi, Spiritual Mysteries. Glad to see you. Diane says, As you said, no shoes, dogs would have picked up a scent. Yeah, the other thing that's weird is when they've had interviews, you can hear the dogs alerting in the background. So if somebody came into the house or Sebastian went out the door, don't you think the dogs would have alerted, like barked a little bit? They were little, you could hear them like just, yep, yep, yep in the back a little bit. Let me let's look at this together. Emily says, I do not believe Chris or Katie. It's bizarre for Sebastian to walk out without.
Tonight, the parents of a missing teen in Sumner County described to us exclusively how they.
Hold on. I will play that next. Emily says, okay. I do not believe Chris or Katie. It's bizarre for Sebastian to walk out without all those items mentioned. I hope the truth is revealed soon. This is so frustrating day after day. Hey, Dee Marie, welcome. Thanks for modding, Pepper. Thanks for modding, Leslie. Thanks for modding, Anjaz. Thanks for modding, Mike. Castle said to the mother of Cycle, there are multiple agencies working this case, along with the Sumner County Sheriff's Office. Shampoo said, how does mother know what Sebastian was wearing when she was sleeping? He could have changed his clothes. In my opinion, I don't buy what she said. Well, she would have just, she would have just said what she saw him in last. I think that's all that was. Let's watch these two.
Feel on day 8 of their son's disappearance. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Marius Payton.
And I'm Lauren Lowry. Sebastian Rogers is 15. He was last seen by his parents on February 25th in Hendersonville. Sebastian has autism, and he's gone without his medication this whole time. And since then, authorities have searched by air, by foot, and on horseback.
Helicopters, drones, and dive teams have also been brought in to try to find him. Today, his parents spoke exclusively to our Holly Thompson.
She's live tonight in Sumner County. Holly, I imagine it was quite an emotional interview.
Certainly was. It is hard for any of us to imagine the emotions that this family is going through right now. But we know one thing is certain. They remain positive. They are holding on to hope that their son Sebastian will return home safely.
Can you walk us through what you're thinking right now?
I just want my baby to be okay. I don't know where he's at.
Mom Katie broke down several times in our interview, but says her hope is strong that her son Sebastian will be found safe and return home.
He's going to walk through that door, and this street will be flooded again with family and relatives all waiting to hug and love him. And
Stepdad Chris says it's been an emotional roller coaster that all started Sunday night, February 25th.
Pretty normal. He was playing in his room. When I told him to go to bed, he did. He said, good night, Mom. I love you.
Katie says she went to wake up Sebastian around 6 a.m. Monday for school, and he was gone. Within minutes, Katie says she was on the phone with Chris, who was working out of town, and they quickly called 911.
And he's not a runner. He's never run away before. I don't know why. I don't know why he walked out that door.
So that's her. I don't know why he walked out the door. And I just told you how I just leaked what I was thinking, which is that Sebastian found safe return of Sebastian. The word safe kept coming out because that's what's on my mind. Of course, I want him found safe. But how does she know he walked out the door? Because that is what she said, right?
I don't know why he walked out that door.
I don't know why he walked out that door.
he's a good kid. He's not a mischievous child by any means.
Katie and Chris say Sebastian is not on social media. While he loves to play Minecraft, they tell me he does not have any online capabilities. I asked if there was any reason he might want to leave.
We've been combing over that day and even the weeks before he left, and I hadn't been able to figure it out. He's that morning he was laughing, he was joking.
It's as if Sebastian vanished. No sign of him on any video throughout the community. Thousands of miles logged by law enforcement, canines, helicopters, even dive teams, and no sign of him. Chris and Katie tell me they've been harassed, people pointing fingers at them.
You're not in this situation. you don't quite understand. I wish people would step back, take a different wide open view, and not assume what they know. It's just better to stick to the facts.
Are you both in the clear?
I can tell you that mom, myself, and the father have worked very fully and cooperatively with all agencies across the board. We have anything that they've wanted, we have provided.
What do you want to say to
So that's a no, because nobody's been cleared on this. No one.
Sebastian? What do you want him to hear from you right now?
That we love you so much.
I think it's really, I would have loved to have seen them make this appeal on the Duchess channel in the first or second interview. They did not. So and they'll make the appeal here for Sebastian, but only when prompted by the journalist. I'm not saying that they did anything to Sebastian. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying I wish they would have made the appeal without being prompted. And how do they know they walked out the door? That's why I wanted to play that for you.
And we want you to come home and you're not in trouble.
Now, Katie did tell me that even though Sebastian does have autism, he is a smart teenager. He is highly functional. They say if you see him, say his name, say Sebastian, and he'll respond. He'll at least acknowledge you. And I can tell you, this is my home. This is my community. So
I just love this reporter. My sourcing on this is Channel 4 WSMV. And let me just play the next one. I'm sorry. I think I'm playing the wrong one. Let me push this one. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm just gonna.
So first, just express, I can't even imagine as a parent what you two are going through. How would you describe the situation right now? How are you coping?
We're on a constant roller coaster ride of helpless and hopeless and many other emotions all in one, and it's a never ending roller coaster. It doesn't stop.
So Peter Hyatt wanted to know why at this point, and this hadn't been that long, why they're already helpless and hopeless, and why Chris Proudfoot saw this as a never-ending roller coaster. And he thought there was red flags here. And this was one of their better interviews. They're on camera. Katie's showing some emotion. She's like a Nancy Grace. She was just ice cold in that interview. And some interview with Web Sleuth Lives that we went through with Chris Proudfoot, he's just downright, horrible on that one. So this one, they're actually coming across okay. But, Peter Hyatt, statement analyst, still saw red flags saying, why would he be helpless and hopeless at this point and a never ending roller coaster? And then how do they know he walked out the door?
It won't stop until he walks through the door.
I wouldn't wish this on anyone.
And he felt like Katie saying she wouldn't wish this on anyone was a more about Katie and less about Sebastian. That Peter Hyatt felt like, Katie wasn't showing empathy for what Sebastian. There's nothing in the interview that we're watching with them where they wonder what Sebastian might be going through. Is he hungry? Is he tired? Is he cold? Is he afraid? Is he lost? Is he, trapped in a cave somewhere? There's none of that. Instead, he walked out the door. They're helpless and they're hopeless. It's a never ending roller coaster ride. And Katie wouldn't wish this on anyone. So, Peter Hyatt kind of felt like, maybe that was like a more about me, Katie, what I'm going through than what Sebastian was going through, which he found, not saying that Chris and Katie did anything to Sebastian, but he just saw it as a red flag. And this is one of their better interviews, in my opinion.
Not anymore.
I know about keeping hope alive. I'm sure that's in there somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
He's gonna
Always.
come home.
He's going to walk through that door. And this street will be flooded again with family and relatives all waiting to hug and love him. And
That boy's gonna have more friends than he knows what to do with when he comes.
And one of the things that I, find concerning here is that they're saying the street will be flooded with family and friends waiting to hug him, to hold him. But I don't hear, I can't wait to hug him and to hold him. And that breaks my heart. Just even with when she recalls, that Sebastian, she said goodnight and that he loved her and he loved the puppies. She, in any of the recountings, and we've heard 3 different versions of what happened that night, we've never heard Katie say, I told Sebastian I loved him. That breaks my heart for Sebastian.
So
But this is one of their better
So,
interviews.
Here we are, 8 days now searching for him. Walk us through that Sunday night that he went missing. So walk us through, we've got so many people who really want to know, okay, how did this happen? So kind of just walk us through that night.
We were out and about that day. We were having a really good weekend. We got home. Everything was pretty normal. He was playing in his room. When I told him to go to bed, he did. He said, good night, Mom, I love you. Said good night to his puppies. A little bit later, I wound up going to bed, and when I woke him up for school, he wasn't there.
Okay. Did you catch that? When I woke him up for school, he wasn't there. How do you wake someone up for school if they're not there? Wouldn't you say when I went in his room, he wasn't there? When I went to wake him up for school, but instead it's I woke him up for school, he wasn't
Later,
there.
I wound up going to bed, and when I woke him up for school, he wasn't there.
When I woke him up for school, he wasn't there. You can't wake him up if he's not there. I don't know, you guys. What do you guys think? Are you watching?
So in your
closely?
mind, that's usually around what time? When do you normally wake up? Around 6 o'clock? So were you instantly thinking something's wrong, or were you like, he may just be already in the shower?
I took a
in the living
second.
room?
I took a second and walked through the house looking for him in case he'd gotten up and was trying to get breakfast or something, because he did that sometimes. About 3 minutes in, give or take, I was on the phone with my husband and I said, I can't find him. He said, what do you mean you can't find him? I said, he's not in the house.
And so at that point, is that when you call 911, or what's going through your mind?
While we were on the phone, and I was like, is he on the other side of the bed? The normal places he may be in the house, and he wasn't. So I was like, okay, well, hold on a minute. And immediately after that, we called the sheriff's department and made the report.
I ran all over the house, outside, inside. I looked in every closet.
Within minutes, they were here. They responded within minutes, and here we go.
Here we go. Here we go. They responded within minutes, and here we go. And when I woke him up, he wasn't there. He walked out the front door. I don't know, you guys. What do you guys think? Are you watching closely? Is this bothering anybody else? Let me check in with chat. Let me move myself up a little bit so I'm not blocking. Okay. I don't know. I just think it's odd. I just think it's odd. We're going to continue with this. We're not done. But I just think there's some leakage there. Leslie says, Chris Katie Proudfoot's mother is an SO and she's on a 99 years of probation. They shouldn't let people like that out of jail, in my opinion, because they don't stop. The recidivism rate is really high, right? Castle says, you're just stop, Katie. Katie and Chris, where is Sebastian, Wayne, Drake, Rogers? Mike says, it bugged a lots of us here. Emily said, I wear my earbuds all the time. I never listen to crime shows with children in the room. Your subscribers should know this. I'm sure we're all adults here. Yeah, I try to keep it G-rated, but, sometimes something like didn't strike me when I was watching it, but it does pop out. Yeah, please no all caps. Hey, Gonk. Yeah, Kathleen thinks they were bite marks on Chris. What do you think those marks were? Was it from the dogs? Yeah, maybe it was from the dogs. Elizabeth said Sebastian had a key code to the front door. Why did she leave a blanket and snacks on the porch room? I didn't hear about the blanket and snacks on the porch. When was that, Elizabeth? That's really interesting. Carrie said the very day Sebastian was reported missing, Chris Proudfoot asked Seth, what are we going to do if things go south, meaning he was unalived just a couple of hours into it? Callie says, I wouldn't wish this on anyone either. Michael says, bless you, JT, the cough. And Mike said, yep, the cough. Tracy says, notice they don't say we love him or say Sebastian. No, they don't say. When Chris talks about Sebastian coming home, people are going to be flooding onto the streets, family and friends. He doesn't say, Katie and I are going to be waiting for him with our arms open or open arms to welcome him back home. It's family and friends are going to welcome him. It's just interesting. Sometimes what isn't said is as interesting as what is said. Passion Flower says, I hope Sebastian never has to go back to that home. They do not deserve a child. Yeah, giggle, giggle. I mean, maybe Duper's Delight and Josh thinks it was. Tracy says she didn't say, I love you too. I know that breaks my heart. It really does. It breaks my heart that's the last thing, their last interaction, according to this retelling. Now later we get a thud added, and then after that version gets told and she tells him to go to bed, then later we get and maybe she's going to put the thud in here, but they weren't in the first two interviews with Duchess. And then after people like cried out, why didn't you respond to him, because he has a chromosomal deletion syndrome, and if he hits his head it could be catastrophic for him. Then she says at 10 p.m. that she heard the thud and that she asked if he was okay, and he answered her. So we've gotten, as Pat Brown said, profiler Pat Brown, we've gotten multiple versions. Carrie said she know exactly what happened to him and where he is. I got Susan Smith vibes immediately, except this case Chris Proudfoot knows too. Unlike Mr. Smith, he did not know, in my opinion. Brother Mike thinks Katie Proudfoot is cold. Yeah, we have a Facebook group. Michael said it's their best, in my opinion. And yeah, it's really hard. Deception Detective said it's really hard. If you think about, like, it's really hard to put and I think he was doing the Summer Wells case when he made this observation, but I was watching him this morning. I think he has a good channel, and he says that it's really hard to put together a story like this. Like in the Summer Wells case, he felt like there was a plot hole because when Chris McDonough went to with Candace to look at the house, the dogs all alerted and barked. And, they didn't think that through when they were putting their story together. This was what Deception Detective said. And he said, if you think about any script writing that you've seen, and I told you last week, I thought there was some scripting with the mother, the young man. I mean, it just didn't sound natural. It didn't sound like how most people talk. That I thought them, and they weren't on camera, that, it would be easy to read a script there, in my opinion, allegedly. I'm not saying they did that. I'm just saying I thought it sounded to me, in my opinion, like scripting. And I'm not saying they did anything to Sebastian, but I'm just, I just think that we're seeing leakage, and that's what I wanted to show you guys. I've been going back through all of these interviews with a fine-tooth comb, and the Nancy Grace one, I caught, that Katie Proudfoot lied about the CPS too. It wasn't just Chris, except I missed it the first couple of times I saw it because Nancy's so quick to say, no, Mr. Proudfoot, I want you to answer. I'm paraphrasing, but something along those lines. But Katie says it, and that's why I wanted to play it for you to show Katie was lying to all of us in Nancy Grace about the CPS visits too, not just Chris Proudfoot. So if we're seeing it, is law enforcement seeing it? What do you guys think? Are you watching closely? Hi, I says 8 days out from Sebastian missing. I'd like to know how they'd be laughing and talking about Sebastian. I'm more concerned with like the helpless and hopeless, a never-ending roller coaster ride. You're 8 days into it. You know, why are you already helpless and hopeless? Yeah, so I can see where you're coming from. Hi, sorry, I just wanted to add on to what you said. Waking no one up. The dogs didn't alert when he went out the door. Tracy's, and they said he walked out the door. She said that, like she saw him. Tracy said Sebastian's mom divorced his dad, brings new guy in, makes him get rid of the cat, then his snakes, then he runs the house like a military program with a special needs child. Yep. Robin said, how do you wake someone up, but he wasn't there? Lola thinks it was a strange statement. I agree. It was weird. This whole thing is weird. That's why I wanted to watch it together with you guys.
Was trying to get breakfast or something because he did that sometimes. About 3 minutes in, give or take, I was on the phone with my husband. I said, I can't find him.
So in your mind, that's usually around what time? When do you normally wake up? Around 6 o'clock?
6.
So were you instantly thinking something's wrong, or were you? So in your mind, that's usually.
Everything was pretty normal. He was playing in his room. When I told him to go to bed, he did. He said, good night, Mom. I love you.
The way she laughs there too makes me wonder, like, did he not normally go to bed? Like she sounds, it's like the fun fact, I made breakfast. It just seems like it's an unusual thing.
Say goodnight to his puppies. A little bit later, I wound up going to bed, and when I woke him up for school, he wasn't there.
I can't get past that. When I woke him up for school, he wasn't there. How do you wake someone up if they're not there?
So in your mind, that's usually around what time? When do you normally wake up? Around 6 o'clock?
6.
So were you instantly thinking something's wrong, or were you like, he may just be already in the shower?
I took a
in the living
second.
room?
I took a second and walked through the house looking for him in case he'd gotten up and was trying to get breakfast or something, because he did that sometimes. About 3 minutes in, give or take, I was on the phone with my husband. I said, I can't find him. He said, what do you mean you can't find him? I said, he's not in the house.
This was a teenager. I'm just kind of wondering why she panicked 3 minutes in. And in another interview, she said in 1 minute flat. So, he could have gone outside for a few minutes. He could have been in the garage. I mean, he could have been in a bathroom. I mean, I don't know. I just don't know if I would be panicking and calling Chris after just 3 minutes. Let me know if you think maybe you would be. I don't know.
And so at that point, is that when you call 911, or what's going through your mind?
While we were on the phone, and I was like, is he on the other side of the bed? The normal places he may be in the house, and he wasn't. So I was like, okay, well, hold on a minute. And immediately after that, we called the sheriff's department and made the report.
I ran all over the house, outside, inside. I looked in every closet.
Within minutes, they were here. They responded within minutes. And
the other thing, and then maybe she just forgot, but there's no mention of going to the school in this interview either. Remember, she drove to the school?
Here we go.
So that
you
bothers
were
me.
on the phone with her, so
Yes,
you were not home.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
I was at work. I'm a tower crane operator, and I was working in Memphis at the St. Jude project.
He's even touching his arms on that. Probably nothing.
So it's, I have an earpiece in that talks to my phone. I have another earpiece in that does the radios. So when she was talking to me, it was like, what? I was confused. We talked about where he could possibly be. And then
But here's the other thing that's kind of odd on this timing is this phone call would have taken place around 6:20, right? That's what he's told us in the Duchess interview, around 6:20. And, give or take 5 minutes, let's just say. But, and there's no mention of her going to the school on this so far that we've heard on this interview. But he's already a crane operator. Do they start that early on his job site at St. Jude's? Because I thought they didn't start till later. I don't know.
We went from there and led to calling the cops, and here we are now.
Within minutes, there they are at the home.
Yes, ma'am.
It was rapid fire. They had cars.
They
They had
lined
cars from here down to the
main
road,
road.
as far as I could tell.
So what's going through both of your minds? I mean, are we panicking? Is it this, oh, I think he's probably at a neighbor's house, or what are you thinking?
My son doesn't run. He's not a runner. He's never run away before.
But he walked out the door. So what I'm wondering is if he was told to walk out the door, if he was sent out the door, if he was in trouble. And, so maybe she wanted to talk to Chris privately. I'm just speculating here. I'm not accusing anybody of doing anything. But Peter Hyatt told us the easiest way for child A abuse is for neglect. Right? That's the easiest way to do it. Maybe she wanted to talk to Chris privately. Maybe he didn't go to bed as easily as she made it sound. And maybe she got mad and, told them to go outside then. Maybe he was upset when he heard Chris Proudfoot on the phone. I don't know. But she said he walked out the door. That's what she just told us. I believe her. What do you guys think? Are you watching closely?
I don't know why. I don't know why he walked out that door.
She says it again. I don't know why he walked out that door. You can see Chris's face there, like, oh, looking back. I want to watch Chris while she says that.
I don't know why he walked out that door.
Oh, nostril flare, eyes got big. And I'm not saying it means
He
anything.
walked out that door.
And then he looks at the interviewer. I don't know. I'm not his body analyst or anything like that. But I am a human being. I saw eyes pop and nostrils flare, a reaction to that.
I mean, he's a good kid. He's not. He's not a mischievous child by any means.
Then why were you using a belt on him, Chris Proudfoot? Why were you using a belt on a special needs child?
But there's answers to questions that have no answers.
That bothers me too. There's answers to questions that have no answers. So it's helpless and hopeless. We're on a never-ending roller coaster ride, and he walked out the door, and I woke him up, but he wasn't there. And what was this one? I mean, this is like, I can see why Seth's upset.
There's answers to questions that have no answers.
How does he know 8 days in that there's answers to questions that have no answers?
Or questions with no answers right now that we are searching for desperately.
Okay, my bad.
We just don't have that.
I don't know, you guys. It's just kind of weird.
Let's talk too, because he's highly functioning. I know you all have described him as having a form of autism.
He does.
But just describe that to our viewers too, as far as.
Let me just check in with chat. I don't want to ignore the chat. This is interactive. And I'm really grateful you guys are here with me today. Thank you so much. Let me see what you guys have to say on this. I mean, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. There's leakage going on. It's like when Chris Proudfoot stood on the front porch. He couldn't say, you couldn't use the I word. He couldn't say the kids' names. I haven't heard her say Sebastian. Maybe I missed it. Tracy said it was in 1 minute flat in another interview. Yeah, that's what she said. She said in 1 minute flat. So, and Pat Brown said, that's profiler Pat Brown said, how would she know in 1 minute flat? How does she know in just 1 minute that he's 15, that he's not outside, that he didn't take, go see the dogs, that he didn't go to the bathroom? And again, in this rendition, it's 3 minutes. And she's on the phone with Chris Proudfoot saying, I can't find him. But in another version, we heard she goes to the school. Now, maybe she just forgot in this retelling that she went to the school. So I don't want to, that's very possible. Maybe she just genuinely forgot she went to the school, but it's weird. And then they're helpless and hopeless on a never ending roller coaster. And he walked out the door. And when she woke him up, when I woke him up, he wasn't there. How do you wake someone up that's not there? To me, there's like so much leakage, even though I think this is one of their best interviews as far as like, looking sad and, looking like they hear about Sebastian. It still has lots of leakage. And if you think about, this is what deception detective said. He said, if you think about like how hard it is for a Hollywood script to write a script of a movie of something that happens without plot holes. Now imagine you're just a layperson and you're trying to come up with a script of what happened. And you're trying, there's going to be holes. There's going to be plot holes. And he thought, in the Summer Wells case, that the dogs barking and alerting when Chris McDonough came on that property was a huge plot hole for Candace and Don Wells, in his opinion. Dorothy said, then what Chris Proudfoot said to Seth was that too early to make a statement like that, in my opinion. Elizabeth says she speaks more firm in past tense of Sebastian as all is gone for sure and gets all theater like in present tense. Passion Flower says very unusual and strange. Hey, Bella. Top Cat says, what's with the fake Southern accent from Katie? So bizarre. I don't know. Sometimes if you're like around people that have a Southern accent, I have family members that have a Southern accent. And when I'm around them, I notice I talk more with a Southern accent than when I'm not there. I also have really close friends that are from Mississippi. And when I'm around, then I consider them my family too. But when I'm around them, I'll definitely say more y'alls and just like fall into that a little bit more than I would if I was just normally talking. So it may just be something like that. I don't know. But it, could also be put, I don't know. But I don't know, you guys. I understand why you have red flags. I do. Darlene says, it always sticks in my mind the comment Chris Proudfoot made about he will never be found. Yeah. The case will be studied. I think this is a case to be studied for ages or something like that. Sky Maiden said, when she says I woke him up and he wasn't there, I wonder if she meant he wasn't there as a non-responsive. Oh, wow. Not so much as not there. Wow. This is why I love reading your comments. Let me move myself up a little bit so I'm not talking behind this. Wow. I'm speechless. Hayes, yeah. Carrie says, I think she snapped Seth when drinking. She went after him for no reason in his sleep. Chris Proudfoot reported he couldn't handle her and her drinking issues, and Sebastian's issue too. Asked Seth to take him. Oh, I don't know. I didn't know about that. That's interesting, Carrie. I'll definitely have to find out more about that. Thank you. Brother Mike said, when I woke him up has always stuck out to me. Yeah. Remy wants to know why she doesn't say his name. And Jeff says, I think Chris Proudfoot's first words to Seth were, don't be mad, but Sebastian's was, yeah, I heard that too. And that was so weird. Like, is that really, would you qualify it? Would you tell the other parent not to be mad? You can see why Seth is like so upset. If you were talking to these two and hearing some of this language, even if you didn't have the benefit of having a statement analyst, which is what, I've watched Peter Hyatt, I've watched Steve Johnson, I've watched Pat Brown, I've watched Deception Detective. So I've seen all these people go through these interviews, professional people. So I have the benefit of that. But even if I didn't have the benefit of that, if I was like in Seth's shoes early on, I still think, just like all of you, that there would be things that would be like not sitting right with me. I may not catch out every single word that they say, but it would still not sit right with me. I would just feel off. And again, I'm not saying they did anything to Sebastian, but it just, I can see why you guys have red flags. Carmen said he did that sometimes, not he does that sometimes. Well, that could have been her. Yeah. Remembering something in the past, but I see what you're saying too about the past tense. Michael said Chris Proudfoot should be wearing that hat. Top Cat said 3 minutes is not a long time to be searching. No. And in what Pat Brown said, profiler Pat Brown said, she, because it was originally 1 minute flat of what she said. And I'm not saying if she said 3 minutes one time and 1 minute flat, either way, it's a short time. So I'm not mincing words on that. But Pat Brown thought that was like a ridiculous amount of time to be like so panicked that you're calling 911 in that short of a time. She thought that was a huge red flag. Carbon Moon thinks it's fake panic. She knows where he is. I do want to say thank you, Castle, for the $1.99, and even more importantly, thank you for the prayers for Seth and Sebastian and the green hearts for Sebastian. That's so nice. And thank you, Castle. Castle says law enforcement never believed Proudfoot's story about Sebastian ran away, hence they immediately issued the Amber Alert. Yeah, I told you guys. You're right. That I told you guys that normally, they don't issue an Amber Alert unless they think some type of foul play is involved. So yeah, that's very good. Let's keep going, guys.
His way of thinking of things and maybe how determined he was about certain things or his mindset.
He's got a stubborn mindset. If he believes it's this,
he gets on a one-man track and he is just on it, and he is all about it.
But I mean, he's very smart.
He
can play chess.
They know it's negative. That's why they're now trying to say, but he's very smart, because they know it's unusual for parents of missing kids to say negative things about their kids. It's just unusual. I'm not saying it means they did anything. It's just unusual. Just, say he's stubborn. And then Chris immediately knows.
He's very smart.
And immediately qualifies it.
And he is all about it.
But I mean, he's very smart. He can play chess. He can beat adults in chess.
Wow.
Okay. He loves playing games.
What about?
So I do like that they said some positive things about him, but it was interesting that they started off with a negative, and it just makes. And again, I'm not saying they did anything to Sebastian. I don't know what happened. I just think there's a lot of red flags. But I do think that it's interesting that they're going to talk negatively about him. And it makes me wonder if that was like the normal in that house. Because I told you I thought Sebastian was being scapegoated. And I wanted to play that interview with Seth, because it sounds like he thought so too.
Navigation. Like, did he have a sense of direction? Do you think he could have possibly even hitched a ride or gotten a ride on a bus or some sort of transportation?
That is a speculation that we don't have an answer for. Just directionally, he knows he could guide you from our house to his dad's house.
Yeah.
He could get from like this house. I think he can make it up to Culver's ice cream.
He can go to Culver's.
Oh, boy loves
he knows
malt.
where Culver's is because Culver's has malt.
Uh-huh.
He loves malt, extra malt. Every time, extra malt.
Now, how far away does his dad live?
Clarksville. His dad lives up by Clarksville.
So he could guide someone all the way to Clarksville.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Okay. So a pretty keen sense of direction, at least with certain things.
Familiar routes.
Yes.
Familiar routes. Okay.
Familiar routes.
I mean, if I took him another route going this way, he would not know it.
He goes up.
I would love to hear Seth's take on this, what he thinks, how this would go, because he did actually drove with Sebastian.
Up there so often that he knows how to get to his daddy's. We know that.
His dad works with him as far as, well, we're going this way, we're going that way, and keeps the same thing, and it works out. So
let's talk too, because earlier Chris, you and I were talking, and you were saying that there are a lot of people who are harassing both of you. What of any of that do you want to address? What do you want to say to any of these people?
Just
Yeah, no matter how you might feel about anybody in this case, please don't ever do that. Don't ever bother anybody or do anything like that.
that
Well, just always.
you don't know. And I don't wish you to ever know.
I would say it like this: everybody has an opinion, you know, and it's perfectly okay to have that opinion. But you're not in this situation. You don't quite understand. I wish people would step back, take a different, wide open view, and not assume what they know. It's just better to stick to the facts. If they have questions, all they have to do is ask.
Well, the problem is people did have questions and they did ask. Nancy Grace asked, and Katie lied to her about CPS, saying it was several years ago. Chris Proudfoot lied and said it was over 3 years ago. We saw in Smiley's story world that he says Sebastian was 15 years old, so not 3 years ago. So the problem is people did ask and they weren't honest with them. So that's why there's been an outcry.
And I pray genuinely that no one ever goes through this.
And Peter Hyatt felt like that was her showing sympathy for herself. You know, he liked all the positive things they said about Sebastian leading up to this, but I pray nobody else has to go through anything like this. Again, it's sympathy for herself. But there's no empathy for what Sebastian might be going through. Is he lost? Is he cold? Is he hungry? Is he scared? Is, you know, where is they're worried about these things, and he didn't see this from either Katie or Chris, in my opinion, allegedly.
Just be kind to people. I mean, it's real simple.
Wow, if only Chris Proudfoot had taken his own advice when he appeared on Web Sleuths Live and went after PI Chloe, PI Heather, and Trisha, who's the host of Web Sleuths Live, because he was not kind.
There are some people who have been talking, because I know this is part of the harassment. Is there anything you want to address about this child custody situation with the previous?
Wow, that got a big reaction from Chris Proudfoot there. Big
Anything
laugh.
You want to address about this child custody situation with the previous?
So I have a current case that is ongoing in another state. We've requested that case to be sealed because there are some individuals who have taken upon themselves to put stuff out there that they don't quite know, which...
Well, maybe you weren't honest.
All they have to do is ask. I'll tell you.
No, Nancy Grace asked. He didn't tell her. Duchess asked about just lie detector tests, and he tap danced around that like crazy. And Crystal and Duchess both asked. He didn't answer that either.
But because of that, you know, it has nothing to do with our son. It has nothing to do with the situation. You know, I just, people would respect that and then keep an open mind. It's totally different.
And I'm not saying he did anything to Sebastian, but who benefited the most from Sebastian being gone? Chris Proudfoot did, right? I'm not saying he did anything, but he sure did benefit from it, because when Sebastian disappeared, so did those CPS cases, right? Poof. So, you know, I understand why people feel a certain kind of way about things. I get it. I'm watching all this and I'm like, I can see why Seth's upset. I can't imagine having to deal, you know, with Chris Proudfoot on something as important as my child's disappearance. I wouldn't want to deal with Chris Proudfoot to even go to a trip to the grocery store to shop for something, because he's just so hard to deal with. He's just so argumentative and bellicose, in my opinion, allegedly. Don't come for me. Or if you do, that's fine. I'll just depose you.
If Sebastian is able to watch this, and maybe he's watching this as it airs, And if he is, what do you want to say to Sebastian? What do you want him to hear from you right now?
And I think it's so sad that they have to be prompted to appeal for Sebastian. There's like no empathy for what he might be going through. It's all, I wouldn't wish this on
And if
any.
he is, what do you want to say to Sebastian? What do you want him to hear from you right now?
Oh gosh, that we love you so much and we want you to come home and you're not in trouble.
I guarantee you he is loved. And trust me, the open arms are waiting for him to come home.
Okay, think about what he just said. I guarantee you he is loved, not I guarantee you I love him, not we love him. And then open arms is not my open arms. It's not Katie's open arms. It's just open arms. Just like the family's going to and friends are going to welcome him, not
And
them.
trust me, the open arms are waiting for him to come home. From every parent to every family members to probably everyone in the community.
Every parent, every family members. Guys, what do you think? Are you watching closely?
But there's no malice that we just want our boy home. Bad. Badly.
But
That mama's
But
bad. Badly.
Why won't she look at him there?
But
that mama's heart. I know it's daddy's too.
But it's a never-ending roller coaster with no end in sight. You guys, I don't know. There's just like so many plot holes, so many inconsistencies, so many red flags. I can see why Peter Hyatt was all over this interview.
But I feel like there's always that extra special bond. Can you walk us through what you're
Okay, I do see Katie crying here. I just want to say that. I do see tears.
thinking right now?
I just want my baby to be okay. I don't know where he's at. I don't know where he's at.
Let's talk about the community because I want you all to know. Even my church body. I mean, we're all praying. We're all praying for his safe return quickly. What do you all want to say to the community?
Thank you.
with everything from the bottom of our hearts. I would not have imagined how far this has gotten, but there's no way to repay the gratitude, the love that we felt from the community, the prayers. But thank you.
But
from the
don't
bottom of our
stop
hearts.
looking.
Yeah, please.
My son is somewhere.
This ain't
Bring
over
him
until he's home.
I don't know, you guys. I can see why people have.
Let's mention.
They have one more to go through. Let me check in with chat. I just can understand why people feel so stressed out, so upset. I get it. We're going to watch one more. I do want to just do this really quick. Let me just do my thank yous because I don't want to leave it to the end. Thank you to our producers and Jazz, Sasha Angel, George Brown, Pepper, and Lisa Fazio. We are not done. I still have another one of these that I want to go through with you guys. And thank you to our channel members. I just do want to extend my thanks because without all of these people, I would not be able to cover stories like this. And I really appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thank you so much. And thank you for helping. This was a team effort to get this channel to 40,000 subscribers. And I'm just so grateful for every single person who has left me a comment, who has told me, shared their thoughts with me, who has subscribed, who has become a channel member. Thank you to all of you. And thank you also. This is super thanks and coffee gratitude for the last I think the last 7 days. So thank you for that. And thank you, NJAS, for the gifted channel membership. And let's go back to this. I do want to say also thank you, NJAS. It looks like she gifted another membership. If you got that, please tell me who you are. Thank you so much, NJAS. So that's 2 gifted channel memberships that NJAS gave. If you don't know, NJAS is our head mod along with Brother Mike. And thank you to everybody who's modding today too. All right. So Remy thinks she cries for herself. Alicia thinks she shakes her head when she says, my son is somewhere. Skybed says, but yet I don't hear her saying, oh, if anybody has them, no, please bring them, let them bring them. Not without being prompted, right? I would have rather have it have come from Katie, but it's like they had to be reminded to say it. And maybe they would have said it anyway, but it's poor Sebastian. Yeah, I agree, NJAS. Poor Sebastian. I just can't imagine how hard it would be to have to deal with Chris Proudfoot day in and day out. And Katie, I do see her crying here. Sean said, I don't wish you to know. Oh, thank you, Lolo. Orange Wedge says, in my opinion, they didn't tell her what they did with him for plausible deniability, in my opinion. Tracy said, where is the protection for Sebastian? Dab says, sorry, Katie, looks like she's faking. Alicia says, KK is scared of saying the wrong thing and getting caught in this interview, in my opinion. Micro says, people do that away. Oh, people do away with their children can still feel guilt. I think that's what the reporter said. The thing about the mother's bond made her cry. Wow. Alicia said, look, she's holding her breath. Carrie said, yes, Sebastian told Seth they didn't like him and he didn't want to go back there. He asked why Sebastian didn't say poor Seth thought it was the freedom that he had at Seth's. Oh, man. Ada says, Peter Hyatt was so right about Chris and Katie when he said Katie holds the key, in my opinion. Yeah, and I'm not saying that she did anything to Sebastian. And neither did Peter Hyatt. But all of the statement analysts all feel like there's red flags.
The search itself, because we know thousands of miles have basically been traced and retraced. We've got hundreds. We've got volunteers. We've got law enforcement from within the state, from outside of the state. I mean, do you feel like they're doing as much as they can? I mean, you all have been right there in the front seat, seeing everything that's underway.
As far as I know, they're doing everything. Anything and everything has been an option. They have brought in assets and resources from various counties, potentially other states. I mean, I don't know how much more they could do, but we're grateful for everything they have done.
They're amazing, but they still haven't brought my baby back.
They will. They will.
He's out there somewhere. So it's one day at a time, getting through this and bringing him home.
This journalist is so sweet.
What is the reaction to the fact that somehow his image, he hasn't been captured on any video anywhere?
I know that it was very dark that night. I mean, it gets dark around here at night in general, but so far we haven't found him on any camera footage to prove where he's at or where he's gone. I know that they're looking, and I went.
Why prove? Why would you have to prove where he's at, where he's gone?
To prove where he's at or where he's gone. I know that they're looking, and I went asking everybody and anybody that has cameras, trail cams, stores, to check, even from before he went missing, just to see if there's anything at all.
And I understand there was a request for video, any sort of footage of Sebastian from earlier in the day on Sunday before he disappeared.
That I don't believe we can comment on right now. That is not something that I believe we're privy to at this point with law enforcement, that is something I would definitely direct back to them.
What?
Here.
That I don't believe we can comment.
Why wouldn't you be able to comment? What?
See if there's anything at all.
And I understand there was a request for video, any sort of footage of Sebastian from earlier in the day on Sunday before he disappeared.
That I don't believe we can comment on right now. That is not something that I believe we're privy to at this point with law enforcement. That is something I would definitely direct back to them. But I mean, there's all kinds of requests out there. There's thousands of hours of video that they are combing, and we're just hoping they'll find something.
And I know this is so sensitive. What do you say to people who inevitably end up pointing their finger back at you? We were talking earlier, and I mean, are you both in the clear?
I can tell you that Mom, myself, and the father have worked very fully and cooperatively with all agencies across.
Is Mom Katie? Mom, myself, and the father? Is Mom supposed to be Katie? I thought he was talking about his mom. Is he calling Katie
And,
Mom?
I mean, are you both in the clear?
I can tell you that Mom,
Katie's nodding yes, and she's not, but
myself, and the father.
She's nodding
Back
yes.
at you. We were talking earlier, and I mean, are you both in the clear?
I can tell you that Mom, myself, and the father have worked very fully.
She's saying yes. They're in the clear. I did see tears, but I don't know. There's just like something so cold. She doesn't make eye contact. I don't know. There's something cold, icy cold. When I saw her sitting across from Sebastian at the Texas Roadhouse, my heart just broke for that child. To just see her in her phone, just looking up a little bit to take some pictures, and then back in the phone, just not interacting with him, knowing that was the last meal that he was having with her. It just,
And cooperatively with all agencies across the board. We have anything that they've wanted, we have provided. So cooperation is there. I mean,
What do you want to say to our viewers? Anybody who's watching, we've got a lot of folks in this community and in other counties just throughout the state as well. What do you want to say to them?
Help spread the word and keep searching, and thank you. And just if you think you see him, call him in.
thank all the viewers, everybody that's helped from across the board. I mean, everybody has been tremendous.
Call his name.
Yeah.
He'll answer, and if he doesn't answer, he'll look.
I like that she's speaking about him in the present tense here.
Even if he's not being verbal at the moment, because he can talk, but sometimes he don't talk. Call his name. Tell him to stay put.
And he could be on the move, so keep checking your properties.
Yes. Like the search is never over until he comes home. That is for sure.
So smart.
But thank you for everything that everybody has done, has volunteered, the continuous efforts. I mean, it's like I said, I've never seen something to this magnitude before.
Our community is amazing.
We're all.
I think that's nice too. They thank the community. They thank the searchers. We did not hear that in either an interview that I shared with you guys from Duchess. I didn't play hers because I wasn't sure. She'd probably be fine about it because I would do commentary, but I didn't want to step on anybody's toes. Elizabeth said there's no proof he walked out the door. All the bother activity that night, but no Sebastian walking out the door. Yep. Pervy. I should be back on my back. Nope. Let me click out. I'm coming right back in if you can. Can you guys hear me now? Just tell me yes if you can hear me. Yeah? Okay. Everybody can hear me okay? Just want to make sure. I always will come back, just so you know. If that happens, I'll just come back in. All right, technology. Thanks, Dabs. Thanks, Tracy. Thanks, Kim Micro. Thanks, Kathleen. And Jess says yes. Tracy says, okay, good. I don't know, you guys. What do you think? Beth says, Chris Proudfoot said, all agencies from across the board expressing certainty without any doubt can be sign of deception, in my opinion. Michael says, not private property, though. No. You know, that was something, too. I'm trying to think of who said it. I watched so many interviews, but somebody was saying that it might have been on Shay's Safe Place that I heard this. And it might have been on one of her videos. I watched a couple of her videos yesterday and today, but and maybe it was, I don't know. I don't want to but somebody was saying that, that they thought that Chris and Katie were, misdirecting them outside of that 10-mile radius, that they, didn't want the Bowersox properties searched. I don't know. That was just their opinion. Addis said, Chris Proudfoot and Katie Proudfoot were never going to allow Sebastian to live with Seth. Seth didn't know about the CPS reports until after Sebastian's disappearance. Sebastian did not run away, in my opinion. And just as a mother, watching them both is painful. Tracy says, in my opinion, they wanted him to seem more childlike or mentally impaired at a younger age. I don't know the right way to say it. I think what's interesting, too, is when they share pictures of Sebastian, it seems like the picture, like the videos that we saw of Chris, seemed like they were from a few years ago when Sebastian was riding his bike. And a lot of the pictures that Katie has shared is when he was her littler boy, right? They're not, what Sebastian looks like now, where he, he's starting to get a little bit, peach fuzz, and he's, starting to have thicker eyebrows. His hair is getting darker. He's maturing into a man. Are they looking back? Were those the good times, that they had with him, where he was more controllable? Because it does seem like, very strict discipline, and like too much discipline, in my opinion. Robert said that's odd because the community didn't even know Sebastian. Oh, I know. They were so great, too. At least they thanked people this time. They went through the Duchess interview twice. Duchess is so sweet. She's offering to do a billboard. Trevor is, gonna pitch in. They're both, the people in their chat are donating to their billboard. And these two never said thank you. They didn't say anything. They just sat there. They didn't offer to donate, which I thought was weird too. Because I'm like, wow, if somebody was offering to put up a billboard for my missing son, I would be like, that's a great idea. I'll chip in what I can. These two lived in a nice house. Katie drove an Infiniti. He drove a truck. They had a camper. They didn't seem like they were, poor, that they couldn't chip in a couple $100 toward a billboard, something. And then on the second interview, Duchess is like, well, I can keep it up for a few more days, the billboard, but then, that's all I can really do. And they're still not offering. And I thought that was so weird. Like, why aren't they saying, thank you so much for everything? I really am grateful to you, Duchess, for doing all this. And maybe they did, after they were done, maybe they said thank you at the end, and it was backstage and we didn't hear it. But it was just odd, and they didn't offer to chip in anything. And again, maybe they did after it was over and I just wasn't privy to it. That's very, very possible. But just listening to it from like somebody who was just coming into it, I just kind of thought that it's weird, right? No, nobody else is thinking this is weird. I think it's weird. Lisa said, Chris Proudfoot can't give a straight yes or no to a simple question. Alyssa said, I'm glad Sebastian doesn't have to deal with them anymore. I just want him back safely. Tracy said, with this newscaster had to ask them, is there anything you want to say to the community? Then she followed with a thank you. That's true. They didn't say thank you without being prompted. They didn't say anything to Sebastian without being prompted. And, I think that is odd if you were like on TV. And then we found, when I played the Duchess interview, I told you guys on the last live stream, I thought it was so weird because Chris Proudfoot got asked about chasing a news crew off his front line. And I'm thinking, holy moly, if you have a missing child and a news crew is on your front lawn, you would be running out to them with a picture of Sebastian, asking them to get help. Instead, he's running them off. It was weird. He's like, well, I didn't, I just told them they couldn't be on my property. I'm like, why wouldn't you utilize them? It just makes me wonder, go back to what United Cajun Navy kept trying to tell. Yeah, that somebody, and then when neighbor Bobby came through, that was all just so weird. Mike thinks it's weird. Dorothy's like, in my opinion, sorry. Pepper agrees with you, Elizabeth. Tracy Ann says bullseye. Lisa says a Harley. Oh, yeah, they went shopping for Harleys instead of going to the prayer vigil to say thank you to the searchers. Thank you to the people who were praying for their missing child. They went searching didn't do the bike ride. There was a motorcycle ride for Sebastian. Didn't do that. The only time I saw either one of them at a prayer vigil is when Chris came by to say he wanted to work with Seth. And to me, that he was just gaslighting Seth, in my opinion. Yeah, insane. Well, guys, I think I'm going to leave it there. See, I'm talking with a little bit of an accent, just listening to them. And I don't normally talk with an accent. So I think that, maybe sometimes you could just pick up stuff, even if you're not trying to. And when I'm around my loved ones who are from Mississippi, I do find myself, I will find myself talking a little bit more like that. And so maybe that's all that is with Katie. I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I do know this. I do know that, I'm grateful to all of you guys for caring enough about Sebastian to show up today, for helping to keep his name out there, to keep this case from going cold. I do think that this does, help raise awareness for the fact that he's, gone. He's disappeared. I don't think he evaporated from inside his house. Katie told us that he walked out the door. I believe her. I believe her. Let me know what you think. And watch your words in the comment section, you guys, so you don't get caught in the filter. But let me know what you think about all of this. And we're going to live stream again on Tuesday. So I look forward to seeing you on Tuesday. Thank you so much for coming by to spend a little bit of time with me. And I will see you on Tuesday. Bye.